All right, well, greetings, fellow hunters. Well, I look at Supernatural Season 2 now. Continues on with the episode Houses of the Holy. Here. Just a second. There we go, that's better. Okay. Hold on just a minute. Sorry, I had some issues there, but okay, so there we go. All right. All right. A woman in glory is sitting watching TV in her house and smoking. There are statues of angels on the desk next to her. She comes across a program with a man talking about God, and she turns off the TV. The lights start to flicker, and then suddenly the TV turns back on, and a man keeps talking about angels and God. She tries to turn it off, but it won't turn off. Everything suddenly starts shaking. She stands up and sees a bright light behind her. She turns around, and she can almost see a shape in the middle. Sometime later, Sam, disguised as an orderly, interviews Gloria, who is now in a psychiatric facility after murdering a man named Carl Gully. Gloria claims that an angel told her to do it and is completely at peace. Sam returns to a motel room where Dean is keeping a low profile after his meat exposure during the bank siege in Milwaukee. He relates the story, and Dean scoffs at the idea of angels. They proceed to investigate Carl Gully's house, where they find a woman's skeleton buried. Sam later finds out after visiting the library that 3 people went missing, proving Carl to be a serial killer. Overnight, another murder takes place. A man kills a stranger and says an angel told him to kill. Investigating the victim's house, they find evidence on his computer that he was stalking a young girl over the internet. Dean discovers that both the victims attended the same church, Our Lady of the Angels. The boys visit the church and speak to Father Reynolds, who has nothing helpful for them, until he mentions his fellow clergyman, Father Gregory, who was shot on the steps of the church. Dean thinks it may be Father Gregory, a vengeful spirit making people kill parishioners whose guilty secrets he knew. Sam is skeptical. He thinks it may be God at work, and reveals to startled Dean that he prays regularly. The boys return to investigate the church's crypt where Father Gregory is buried. Whilst they are in different rooms, an angel appears to Sam and tells him he'll be given a sign of someone to kill, someone about to do evil. The boys get to argument again, and Dean finally admits the reason why he doesn't believe in angels is because their mother also believed in angels, but that didn't stop her from being killed. Dean still thinks it's the spirit of Father Gregory, and suggests that they summon his spirit. If Father Gregory appears after being summoned, they'll know he's a spirit and not an angel. As he buys the supplies necessary for the summoning, Sam sees the man he says the angel wants him to kill, identified by a bright light around him. Dean takes us after the man and tells Sam to go and perform a seance. Sam is interrupted by Father Reynolds, just as the spirit of Father Gregory appears. Sam is crestfallen, knowing that this means he is just a spirit. Father Gregory is not malevolent, he generally thinks he is an angel. Father Reynolds argues with him and manages to convince him of reality. He finally puts Father Gregory's soul to rest by saying the last rites. Meanwhile, Dean is following the man Sam had identified, and stops him as he attacks and attempts to rape a young woman. Dean chases him in his car until the man's car nearly collides with a truck. Very coincidentally, a metal pipe from the truck perfectly impales the man, killing him. Back at the motel, Sam explains to Dean why his faith is important to him. Dean describes how the man died and, against better instincts, admits he thinks it may have been the hand of God at work. Interesting. So now take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. Father Reynolds comments on Michael's flaming sword. In sympathy for the devil, it is revealed that the sword is a metaphor for a vessel, and that Michael's true sword is Dean himself. This is foreshadowed by Sam seemingly gesturing toward Dean, when in actuality he's indicating a painting of Michael and saying, "Father, that's Michael, right?" Father Reynolds described angels as fierce, wrathful, terrifying, and as being one of God's warriors, not the living creatures found in Hallmark cards. Come season 4, this description will fit them to a T. Dean reveals that Mary used to tell him that angels are watching over him. In fact, these are her last words to him. He uses to test if the Mary who appears in What Is and What Should Never Be is the real one. The reason behind why Mary used to tell him this is revealed at the end of the song remains the same. Some establish that Dean does not believe in a higher power, while Sam does. This is touched upon again in Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean Winchester, and subsequent Season 4 episodes. Ironically, Season 4 sees Dean saved by angels have become important to him, where Sam is viewed as an abomination by angels due to his links to demons and Lucifer. This is the first mention of Raphael. He won't appear until Free to Be You and Me, after a brief unnamed appearance in the monster at the end of this book in his non-corporeal form. This is the first mention of Michael. Interesting. And now let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. The church that serves as Our Lady of the Angels is St. Andrews Wesley's United Church. The episode title references either Led Zeppelin's 1973 album or their 1975 song of the same name. That's pretty cool. So overall, I think this episode is kind of interesting, and while the actual concept of angels won't be introduced until season 4, I think this episode does kind of job at kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen and stuff like that. So yeah. So overall, I give Houses of the Holy 4 Impalas out of 5. Well, you tune in bed as we take the next episode, Born Under a Bad Sign. So until then, carry on, my wayward sons and daughters.